Chapter 1565. A wave of fear and trembling welled up in the hearts of everyone in the 10 sacred heavens. Eternal King. Someone is advancing to the Eternal King realm. This is bloodline suppression. Someone is advancing to the Eternal King realm. The eyes of the knowledgeable Eternals in the 10 holy heavens shimmered with shock. They are aware that someone is advancing to the Eternal King realm. The endless energy gathered by the 10 holy heavens converged towards the area where Yang Feng is located and formed a fearsome energy storm. A river of time emerged in the void, and the history of the 10 holy heavens was reversed. Walking in the river of time, Yang Feng absorbed time force and condensed the essence of time origin. Yang Feng. I finally found you. You've already reached this step. I can't let you live. When the true Dragon King saw Yang Feng, his eyes shimmered fiercely, and he rode endless true dragon chi, tore through the void in an instant, crossed who knows how many light years, appeared in front of the river of time, and extended his claw towards Yang Feng. The reason why eternal kings are very rare in the eternal world is that it is difficult to advance to the Eternal King realm. Once they fail to advance, only death will await them. On the other hand, the vast majority of powerhouses are unwilling to see the birth of an eternal king. As such, countless people will step in to stop them. Yang Feng, who is walking in the river of time, is tracing the essence of time. All his power is poured into the essence of time. As such, he can't resist the strike of the true Dragon King. At this moment, a whip of ruler shot out from the void, pierced through the sky, turned into a bolt of lightning, and slammed into the dragon claw of the true Dragon King and shattered it. Zero walked out of the void, her beautiful eyes flashing with coldness. She pointed her finger, and 6 whips of the ruler's whip flew out. It was as if 6 true dragons had been born, hunting wild beasts, and they lashed out at the true Dragon King. Break! A fierce glint flashed in the eyes of the true dragon monarch, and he belched a fearsome dragon breath barreling towards Yang Feng in the river of time. The 6 whips of ruler intertwined and formed a whip net blocking in front of Yang Feng. When the dragon breath slammed into the net of whips, it burned the net into ashes. With a wave of his hand, a seemingly endless number of adjudicators and 1 million Eternal Realm adjudicators appeared and attacked the true Dragon King. The 1 million Eternal Sovereign rank adjudicators are weapons Yang Feng made by plundering the Eternal King's treasure troves. Even if it is an invincible Holy Lord rank adjudicator, they will have to expend some effort to kill them all. A bunch of ants actually dare to obstruct the mighty true Dragon King. I'll show you the power of an Eternal King. The true Dragon King's eyes flashed ferociously, and he spat out a terrifying stream of true dragon chi that swept towards the adjudicator and the judiciary ruler. When the billions of adjudicators were swept up by the true dragon chi, they underwent a bizarre transformation and turned into mechanical dragons. The 1 million eternal level adjudicator chief sovereigns trembled and began to dragonize bit by bit. Resonance. A cold gleam flashed in Ling's eyes, and mysterious resonance ripples emerged from her body and spread in all directions. The 1 million eternal level adjudicator chief sovereigns began to resonate with each other, and their power merged into one to contend against the true Dragon King's dragonization. The mechanical dragons formed from billions of adjudicators fought with the 1 million adjudicator chief sovereigns, and the sound of huge explosions rang incessantly. At this moment, Yang Feng came to the source of the river of time, opened his mouth, and inhaled, and the river of time entered his body. One after another, spatial portals containing the law of space emerged and entered Yang Feng's body. Go to hell. Yang Feng. Seeing this scene, the true Dragon King no longer entangled himself with Ling. He extended his claw, turned into a 100,000 kilometers long true dragon, opened its maw, and shot towards Yang Feng. As long as I don't die, you can't hurt my lord. Ling's beautiful eyes flickered coldly, and the ruler's whips emerged, intertwined, and whipped the 100,000 kilometers long true dragon. Boom! Boom! When the ruler's whips hit the true dragon, a portion of the true dragon will be smashed. Although the true dragon was reduced to 50,000 kilometers in size in an instant, but it still barreled towards Yang Feng. Beams of starlight flashed, and the star concubine appeared with the star shield of ruler in her hand. She controlled the boundless starlight to block in front of the dragon. Boom! When the true dragon slammed into the ruler star shield, it shattered together with the star concubine. A crystal chip of the star concubine flew out, turned into a stream of light, and entered Ling's hand. After the true dragon smashed the star concubine, it shrunk to 20,000 kilometers in size. Ling blocked in front of the true dragon and slammed a fist into it. A violent force erupted in an instant and shattered the true dragon. At the moment when the true dragon collapsed, cracks appeared on Ling's body. Countless spatial portals entered Yang Feng's body at the same time. A power star emerged from the void and merged with Yang Feng. Damn it! Go to hell! The eyes of the true Dragon King flickered fiercely, and he flew towards Yang Feng. Shadows emerged from the shadows behind the true Dragon King. Holding the ruler's shadow spear, Shadow burned all his power, turned into a shadow spear, and stabbed towards the true Dragon King. Die! The true Dragon King raised its tail and whipped Shadowy with its huge tail. Bombarded by the fearsome dragon Qi, Shadow's body disintegrated in an instant, and a core chip flew out. Under the impact of the fearsome true dragon force, countless cracks appeared on the core chip. It's you who's going to die. Ling's beautiful eyes shone coldly, and she burned her origin force and lashed the true Dragon King's huge body with her whip. When the ruler's whip hit the true Dragon King's dragon scales, they caved in and burst open, and large amounts of flesh and blood splashed about. The ruler's whip twisted, and then stabbed into the true Dragon King's flesh and blood like a spear. Devour light shone and devoured the true Dragon King's flesh and soul. Ant, you dare to injure me! With a flash of anger in his eyes, the true Dragon King roared, and fearsome true dragon force erupted in an instant and rushed into Ling along the ruler's whip like a flood. When the eternal force, which is almost comparable to that of the eternal king, rushed into Ling's body, cut her open, and a copious amount of blood sprayed into the sky. With a flash of light, the ruler's whip was shattered by Ling herself. After being seriously injured, Ling still didn't stop. She urged the ruler's whip to attack the true Dragon King frantically, forcing the true Dragon King to fight her. A river of fate emerged, and Yang Feng stepped into the river of fate and endured the scouring of fate force. In the world of warlocks, Yang Feng's eternal mark appeared, shook slightly, and, in accordance with the laws of Nether, disappeared. In the next moment, the river of fate disappeared. A devour black hole emerged, and Yang Feng stepped into the devour black hole and sat cross-legged in the center. Yang Feng's eternal mark walked out of the void, turned into a stream of light, and entered his body. Once Yang Feng's eternal mark fully integrated with him, he will be able to advance to the Eternal King realm. No matter which universe he goes to, he will be able to mobilize universe origin force, and his body and soul will be perfect. Die, you ant! When the true Dragon King saw this scene, his eyes shimmered fiercely, and he gritted his teeth, burned his blood essence, and unleashed the true dragon's secret method. In an instant, he reached the Eternal King realm, and sent a claw barreling towards Ling. The true Dragon King's claw smashed Ling's resistance and blasted her away for tens of thousands of kilometers, her body riddled with wounds. After advancing to the Eternal King realm, the true Dragon King's strength has increased sharply. As long as he attacks Ling, he can kill her in less than 10 moves. Go to hell, Yang Feng! The true Dragon Monarch didn't pay any attention to Zero. Instead, it extended its claw and sent True Dragon Force towards Yang Feng. True Dragon King, you're a step too late. Yang Feng opened his eyes, which flickered with frigid light. Eternal King rank fluctuations of power spread from him, and he sent a claw barreling towards the true Dragon King. Boom! The void collapsed, and the true Dragon King was sent flying 10,000 kilometers away. His body cracked, and a copious amount of dragon blood dripped on the ground. At the same time, his aura weakened by more than 100 times. You were seriously injured and fell from the Eternal King realm. Forcibly stimulating the power of the Eternal King has already worsened your injuries. You're no longer my opponent. Since you dare to come and kill me, only death awaits you. Let me send you off. Eyes flashing with frigid killing intent, Yang Feng took a step, appeared in front of the true Dragon King in an instant, and extended a claw, and a devour black hole emerged and swept towards the true Dragon King. The true Dragon King's face turned pale, and his eyes shimmered with fear. True Dragon Chi gushed out of him, and he flew away in an attempt to escape the devour black hole. Die! A cold voice sounded, and the devour black hole appeared above the true Dragon King in an instant, and devour black light swallowed the true Dragon King. No! Don't kill me! Yang Feng, I was wrong. Don't kill me. The true Dragon King's wail came from the devour black hole. Chapter 1566. Yang Feng, I know many treasures of the Eternal King. Many secrets of the Eternal King. Don't kill me. I can serve you for 100,000 years. My dragon clan has countless beauties, I can offer all of them to you. The true Dragon King struggled frantically in the devour black hole and pleaded loudly. He is the only dragon powerhouse who has advanced to the Eternal King rank. His lifespan is calculated in the hundreds of millions of years, making him older than some universe powerhouses. But he still doesn't want to die. No need. I only want your Eternal King origin. Yang Feng smiled coldly, and devour runes shone, and devour black light spilled towards the true Dragon King. The true Dragon King issued a series of miserable screams and struggled frantically. Then, it turned into ashes bit by bit, and the ashes drifted away with the wind. Yang Feng beckoned with a hand, and light flashed, and the battered and tattered Zero appeared in front of him. The dragon energy within Zero's body churned, tearing her body apart continuously, making it impossible for her body to heal itself. Yang Feng pointed with a finger, and countless devour runes entered Zero and frantically devoured the dragon chi inside her. Within a dozen plus breaths of time, Yang Feng devoured all the Eternal King rank true dragon chi inside Zero. Now, you damn true dragons, go to hell. Yang Feng glanced at the true dragons wreaking havoc in the Azure Temple with a cold look in his eyes and pointed with a finger. A black hole appeared in the middle of the true dragons, and devour black light swept towards them. Tens of thousands of true dragons were drawn into the devour black hole. Your Majesty Yang Feng, stop. Spare my life. Spare the lives of the dragons. The dragons are willing to submit to you and never betray you. The face of the true dragon patriarch twisted, he issued a heart-wrenching scream, performed various secret methods, and struggled frantically. No matter how the true dragon patriarch struggled, he couldn't resist the terrifying suction. In a breath of time, he was swallowed into the devour black hole. The devour black hole suspended in the void shrank, and dust fell from the sky and drifted down with the wind. They're all dead. Those are the elites of the true dragon race. The true Dragon King is dead. The true Dragon King is dead. That's the young master. The young master actually broke through the eternal wall and became an eternal king. Azure Sacred Temple actually has two eternal kings. Cheers came from the Azure Sacred Temple. There are only two eternal kings in the true holy heaven. Now that Yang Feng has advanced to an eternal king, it means that the Azure Temple has become the #1 force in the true holy heaven. Eternal King. He actually became the Eternal King. Azure Holy Lord looked at Yang Feng with jealousy and envy in his eyes, and his thoughts churned. In the end, he sighed in frustration and worry. I wonder if his advancement to the Eternal King realm is a blessing or a curse for my Azure Temple. The rest of the eternal dragon bigwigs looked at Yang Feng from afar with mixed emotions in their eyes. Azure Temple already had the protection of the Azure True Extreme Monarch, but another eternal monarch was born. This meant that the two eternal monarchs would likely clash over the authority and resources of Azure Temple. If internal strife breaks out in the Azure Temple, then the Azure Temple may even decline. Yang Feng glanced at Azure Holy Lord and smiled indifferently, then his figure fluttered, and he disappeared. Above a ruin in the Gamonvir Holy Heaven, the face of the Gold-Wing Rock Monarch suddenly flickered. The true Dragon Monarch died. He was killed by an Eternal King who just advanced to an Eternal King. That's really bad. If I'm not mistaken, the Eternal King should be on his way to kill me. For Eternal Kings, there are very few resources in the 10 Holy Heavens that can enable them to continue to evolve. Most eternal treasures are of no use to them. Yang Feng is proficient in the essence of Devour. But since he advanced to an Eternal King, no matter how many eternal dragon bigwigs he devours, he can only accumulate more experience at most. He can't undergo an essential evolution. Only by devouring Eternal King level powerhouses could he rapidly transform and become even more powerful. Leave this place at once. The Gold-Wing Rock Monarch screamed, and a fearsome sound wave spread in all directions. Along with flashes of light, the Gold-Wing Rock Monarch, shrouded in golden light, fled in different directions. The Gold-Wing Rock Monarch cast a secret method, flapped his wings, turned into a golden ray, and flew into the distance. Gold-Wing Rock Monarch, you're really smart. Unfortunately, you're still a step too slow. Ripples flickered in the void, and Yang Feng walked out of a river of time and space, spread the fingers of a hand, and pressed them on the forehead of the golden-winged rock monarch. A devour mark emerged and devoured the golden-winged rock monarch. Yang Feng, I have no enmity with you, why are you trying to kill me? In the devour black hole, the gold-winged rock monarch spread his wings, struggled wildly, and roared. An indifferent look in his eyes, Yang Feng uttered coldly, Gold-Wing Rock Monarch, if I leave and you attack us humans, I'm afraid that we humans will be severely injured. It will take us hundreds of millions of years to recover. Therefore, for the sake of the human race, I can only ask you to die. The Gold-Wing Rock Monarch said with a ferocious smile, haha, for the sake of the human race. You're doing this for my Eternal King origin. You despicable scoundrel. Of course, I don't deny that this is a factor. An indifferent look in his eyes, Yang Feng willed, and devour black rays swept towards the Gold-Wing Rock Monarch from the devour black hole. The Gold-Wing Rock Monarch struggled for a while, then trembled and turned into ashes and disappeared. The Gold-Wing Rock Monarch died. How savage! Yang Feng really advanced to an Eternal King. When the Eternal World's powerhouses who are paying attention to this scene saw this, a chill welled up inside them. The pseudo-Eternal Kings hiding in mysterious places like the true Dragon Monarch, who were seriously injured in the War of Kings and in a state of rebirth, dare not reveal their whereabouts. Ankalaman Sacred Heaven, the place where the monarchs fight. The place of opportunity to become an eternal deity emperor is my true battlefield. Yang Feng took a look at the void, then his figure fluttered, and he turned into a stream of light and disappeared. The opportunity to advance to an eternal God Emperor only appears once every 100 million years. If Yang Feng misses this opportunity, he doesn't know how many hundreds of millions of years he will have to wait for the opportunity to advance to an eternal God Emperor. Once another Eternal King advances to an eternal God Emperor, the entire eternal world will be under the control of the eternal God Emperor, and Yang Feng will no longer have a chance. Ankalaman Sacred Heaven. Ripples flickered, and Yang Feng appeared in the most mysterious 10th Holy Heaven of the battlefield of kings. As soon as he entered the Ankalaman Sacred Heaven, Yang Feng keenly felt fearsome and powerful forces vibrate in the void. Yang Feng's eyes shimmered with enigmatic light, and he mused, the fighting has already begun. In other words, have the God Emperor Bone and the God Emperor Divine Garden appeared? The God Emperor Bone is the legendary skeleton of the God Emperor who established this universe. The Divine Emperor Divine Garden was a peerless divine garden that the Divine Emperor had refined for his cultivation. In the God Emperor Divine Garden, there are countless peerless treasures that don't exist in the eternal world. Only by obtaining the God Emperor Bone and the treasures in the God Emperor Divine Garden can the eternal monarchs evolve into true eternal God Emperors. Due to their fear of each other, the eternal monarchs in the eternal world won't easily attack and kill each other. Only by competing for the opportunity to advance to an eternal God Emperor will they recklessly wage war and kill each other. This is the power of the firmament demon monarch. He can be my first prey. Strange ripples flickered, and Yang Feng disappeared without a trace, drifting in the direction of a battlefield. In a star domain, beams of demonic light descended from the sky with terrifying destructive power, blasting towards the Garvey monarch, who was tens of thousands of kilometers tall. Hand over the God Emperor Bone, or die. Riding boundless light, the firmament demon monarch spoke in a thunderous voice that reverberated in the void. The Garvey monarch uttered coldly, "Firmament demon monarch, our strength is about the same. A fight between us is meaningless. Stop it." A frigid look in his eyes, the firmament demon monarch roared wildly, "Hand over the God Emperor Bone. Otherwise, we won't rest until one of us is dead. If you want to fight, then I'll fight." A fierce ray flashed in the Garvey monarch's eyes, and he unleashed a secret method, brandished the spear in his hand, and fought the firmament demon monarch. The two eternal kings fought in a frenzy. Wherever their power passed, stars collapsed and turned into powder. Heaven collapsed and the earth cracked. Spatial rifts appeared in the sky. If the two eternal monarchs fought fiercely in the eternal world, who knows how many lesser heavens, middle heavens, and even greater heavens would perish at their hands. In the eternal world, there have been two eternal monarchs fighting in the eternal world, which eventually led to the destruction of 16,000 greater heavens and the death of countless life forms. Yang Feng, who is completely invisible, lurked quietly on the side, waiting for an opportunity. Time elapsed, and 100 years passed in the blink of an eye. From the center of the battlefield, the firmament demon monarch and the Garvey monarch have fought to a remote place in the Antalaman's sacred heaven. The two powerhouses are riddled with wounds, and their vitality is greatly damaged. The Garvey monarch uttered unhurriedly, his face pale, "Firmament demon monarch, stop it. If this goes on, it will only be a lose-lose situation. How about this, I'll join forces with you and help you seize a God Emperor Bone. I can make a king's oath, what do you think?" Chapter 1567. The Sky Demon Monarch's eyes flickered, and he uttered in a deep voice, "Okay." Although the Sky Demon Monarch is slightly stronger than the Garvey Monarch, but if they continue to fight, only mutual destruction will await him. The Sky Demon Monarch and the Garvey Monarch aren't mortal enemies. After weighing the pros and cons, he still chose to join forces. "It's a pity that you two chose to join forces." Accompanied by a sigh, the void twisted, and Yang Feng walked over step by step. "Who are you?" The Sky Demon Monarch looked at Yang Feng with vigilance in his eyes, and demonic light emerged around him. "I'm the one who will kill you." A torrent of time suddenly emerged, and Yang Feng blurred and appeared in front of the Garvey Monarch. He spread the fingers of a hand, and a devour black hole suddenly emerged and swept towards the Garvey Monarch. "Sky Demon Monarch, lend me a hand." When the Garvey Monarch sensed Yang Feng's eternal king rank fluctuations of power, his complexion changed dramatically, and a hair-raising eyeball appeared on his body and looked at the sky. A glowing smoke flew out of the hair-raising eyeball and intertwined with the devour black hole. The devour black hole trembled slightly, and then black light swept out and instantly swallowed the Garvey Monarch. The eyes of the Sky Demon Monarch flickered, then he distorted, unfolded 12 pairs of sky wings, burned his demonic blood, and flew away. "If it was 100 years ago, I wouldn't have been able to keep you. But since I've already taken action, how can you still survive?" Yang Feng smiled indifferently and pointed with a finger, and a torrent of time swept towards the Sky Demon Monarch. Eroded by the torrent of time, the Sky Demon Monarch fell into a strange temporal disorder and was sent flying back inch by inch. Break! There was a sinister flash in the eyes of the Firmament Demonic Monarch, and he roared. Firmament Demonic light erupted from him and twisted, and the torrent of time collapsed. Die! A fearsome fist ran through the Sky Demon Monarch's body, and countless Devour runes flickered and formed a Devour black hole that instantly devoured the Sky Demon Monarch. The Sky Demon Monarch roared with a look of shock on his face, "No! How is this possible? How can this be? How can you be so strong?" Even though the Sky Demon King and King Garvey had both been severely injured, he still possessed terrifying power. It would not be difficult for him to escape from the other Eternal Kings. Now that he was suppressed by Yang Feng, it was simply appalling. Along with screams, the Firmament Demon Monarch was devoured by Yang Feng. How wonderful, devouring two Eternal Kings. My body and soul are constantly evolving. It feels so good to be getting stronger with every passing moment. Yang Feng felt a steady stream of power gushing out of his body, and his eyes flashed with a touch of excitement. Yang Feng's fleshly body is the Eternal King's fleshly body, which he reconstructed in the Dark Earth world using the Eternal God Sovereign as a template. When he evolved into the Eternal King, he underwent another earth-shattering transformation, making his physical body even more terrifying. In terms of soul force, Yang Feng may be slightly inferior to veteran Eternal Kings. But in terms of fleshly body, he surpasses the vast majority of Eternal Kings. Strange ripples flickered, and Yang Feng disappeared from where he stood. In the void, a 10,000-kilometer-tall ogre monarch with a horn on his head is fleeing frantically. Behind him, there is a shadow filled with despair and distortion. The shadow filled with despair and distortion is the Despair Monarch. Grey shadows of despair flew out of the Despair Monarch and swept towards the Ogre Monarch. When each shadow of despair brushed against the Ogre Monarch, black gas emerged from the Ogre Monarch. The Ogre Monarch trembled slightly, and a layer of his skin peeled off before he was able to force out the black gas of despair. A fierce expression on his face, the Ogre Monarch roared wildly, "Despair Monarch, are you crazy? Why are you chasing me? There is no enmity between us, so why are you chasing me? The whole universe should fall into the abyss of despair. Despair is the deepest darkness of the universe. Haha. Ogre Monarch, despair. Struggle. Become a part of me." The Despair Monarch released strange and chaotic fluctuations, and shadows of despair continued to sweep towards the Ogre Monarch. The Ogre Monarch's face twisted, and he wanted to cry but had no tears, this lunatic. He's crazy. The Despair Monarch is a freak born from the despair of 10 eternal monarchs in a war of monarchs. After absorbing the power of 10 eternal monarchs, he advanced to an eternal monarch in one fell swoop with a rare treasure in the God Emperor Garden as the core. In Myriad Demons' holy heaven, with the other 4 eternal monarchs restricting him, the Despair Monarch restrained himself somewhat. As soon as he entered the battlefield of monarchs, the Despair Monarch fell into madness and chased after the Ogre Monarch, consuming the latter's power. Die! A torrent of time appeared in front of the Ogre Monarch. Yang Feng appeared abruptly, ran a fist through the Ogre Monarch's chest, and countless Devour runes flickered and devoured the Ogre Monarch. Why is it always me? As soon as the Ogre Monarch fell into the Devour black hole, his face twisted, and he roared wildly. Because you're the weakest. Yang Feng smiled coldly, glanced at the Despair Monarch, and then blurred into motion and retreated briskly. The Despair Monarch is far stronger than the Ogre Monarch. Although Yang Feng is confident that he can defeat the other party, but he isn't sure that he can kill the other party. Why are you running? Despair. The eyes of the Despair Monarch flashed with the shade of chaos, then he smiled ferociously, and a dense crowd of shadows of despair swept towards Yang Feng. With a cold look in his eyes, Yang Feng waved his hand, and spatial portals appeared. The dense crowd of shadows of despair flew into the spatial portals, and the space-time distorted, unable to lock onto Yang Feng's true body. With a flash of light, Yang Feng disappeared and flew towards the distance. Ha ha ha. Ha ha. Despair. The despair monarch laughed wildly, turned into a stream of light, and chased after Yang Feng. This lunatic. Yang Feng glanced at the despair monarch with a cold look in his eyes, sneered, and continued to fly. In a starry sky, the 1,000,000-kilometer-tall, dark green holy monarch Azure Jew, covered in countless vines, is fighting a holy monarch dragon flood dragon, who has dragon horns, black scales, and is enveloped in black gas. Countless vines protruding from the Azure Jew holy monarch, each of which contains infinite power and is shrouded in various essences and laws, pierced through the sky and stabbed towards the holy monarch dragon flood dragon. Black gas surged from the holy monarch dragon flood dragon, entangled with the Azure Jew holy monarch's vines, and frantically corroded the holy monarch's vines. The two eternal kings are evenly matched in strength. As they fight, they are only consuming each other's power. Yang Feng turned into a ray of light, appeared near the two eternal kings, operated a secret method, and his aura disappeared. Die. Despair. Cry. Scream. The despair monarch appeared as well, and countless shadows of despair swept towards the Azure Jew holy monarch and the holy monarch dragon flood dragon. Join forces. The complexion of the Azure Jew holy monarch flickered, and he sent a thought towards the holy monarch dragon flood dragon. Okay. A dignified look in his eyes, the holy monarch dragon flood dragon agreed to the proposal of his old rival, and they joined forces to attack the despair monarch. The green vines smashed against the king of despair's body, and each strike was able to shatter some of the shadows of despair. In the wake of the poisonous mist sprayed by the holy monarch dragon flood dragon, everything was poisoned to death, and even the shadows of despair collapsed. Under the joint attack of the two eternal kings, the despair monarch laughed ferociously, and a large number of shadows of despair flew out of him and fought the holy monarch Azure Jew and the holy monarch dragon flood dragon, exchanging injuries for injuries. Die. A torrent of time suddenly appeared behind the holy monarch dragon flood dragon, and Yang Feng walked out of the torrent of time, smashed the holy monarch dragon flood dragon's resistance with a punch, and then entered his body. A shadow of despair slammed into the holy monarch dragon flood dragon, causing him to scream, and then be swallowed by a black hole. Despair. The despair monarch laughed wildly, and countless shadows of despair barreled towards Yang Feng. I give up on this opportunity to become a god emperor. Sage King Green Jew's eyes flashed with determination. Rays of green godly light flashed as he burned the eternal king's source energy. His body crumbled inch by inch as he turned into a ray of green light that tore through everything and fled out of the Enkalaman divine sky. What a pity! When Yang Feng saw this scene, regret flashed in his eyes, and a black hole appeared and devoured the shadows of despair around him. His figure fluttered, and he flew in another direction. After all, the holy monarch Azure Jew is not a seriously injured eternal king. If Yang Feng wants to kill him, it will take him a lot of time and energy. Since the holy monarch Azure Jew has escaped, he is no longer his target. In the center of the Enkalaman sacred heaven, light suddenly shone, and a divine garden filled with all kinds of mysteries and rare treasures appeared and radiated resplendent light. It appeared. The divine garden. That's the opportunity to become an eternal god emperor. The figures of the eternal kings fighting in various parts of the Enkalaman sacred heaven flickered as they turned into streams of light and flew in the direction of the divine emperor divine garden. Yang Feng gave up on hunting the other eternal kings, turned into a stream of light, and flew towards the God Emperor Divine Garden. Ah! No! No! It's so painful! Stop! The despair monarch followed behind Yang Feng. All of a sudden, when he was hit by the light released by the Divine Garden, he screamed, and black smoke rose from his body. Chapter 1568. He's suffering a backlash because he doesn't have the Divine Emperor bone. A good chance. When Yang Feng saw this scene, his eyes flashed coldly, and he spread the fingers of a hand, and a pitch-black seal barrier appeared and blocked behind the Despair Monarch. The Despair Monarch fled frantically, and then slammed into the pitch-black seal barrier. As if an insect stuck to a spider web, he was stuck, unable to budge. When the divine light released by the Divine Emperor Divine Garden shone on the Despair Monarch, black smoke rose from his body, and he disintegrated inch by inch. The Despair Monarch is a top powerhouse among eternal monarchs, and he can contend against 2 eternal monarchs. However, under the divine light of the Divine Emperor Divine Garden, he can't withstand a single blow. Shadows of despair emerged, and then were purified and turned into ashes. Let me send you on your way. Yang Feng's eyes flashed coldly, and he suddenly turned into a stream of light, appeared in front of the Despair Monarch, and sent a fist into the other party's body. A devour black hole emerged and devoured the Despair Monarch. Haha. You want to devour me? Good. Let's fuse together. The Despair Monarch's face twisted, his eyes flickered with chaotic light of despair, and his power burned wildly and turned into the purest despair force, which tore the devour black hole and entered Yang Feng's forehead. A vast and boundless power filled Yang Feng's body at once, containing endless despair. A face filled with despair grew out of Yang Feng's forehead. The eyes on the face are filled with despair, and tears of blood are flowing down, looking mournful and terrifying. I am Yang Feng, the Despair Monarch. I want the whole world to be dyed in the color of despair. Haha. Hee hee. A hair-raising laughter came from the face on Yang Feng's forehead. The voice is exactly the same as Yang Feng's. You want to assimilate me? What a pipe dream. Yang Feng's eyes flashed coldly, and he smiled frigidly, and devour runes appeared and frantically devoured the despair force in his limbs and bones. Yang Feng grabbed his forehead and tore off the face from his forehead. Streams of black mist flew out of Yang Feng and entered the face. Why? Why won't you fuse with me? As long as you become one with me, you will be able to completely obtain my power. Invincible. The face warped and transformed into a distorted energy body that let out a sinister roar. I need the purest power. You can maintain your own power, and not uncontrollable power. Yang Feng looked at the core of the Despair Monarch and said with a cold smile, besides, even without relying on you, I am already invincible. Yang Feng crushed the distorted Despair Monarch, and a Devour rune emerged and devoured the Despair Monarch's origin force. After squashing the Despair Monarch, Yang Feng flew straight towards the God Emperor Divine Garden. Hand over the Divine Emperor bone. Otherwise, die. An eternal monarch made of countless bones suddenly flew out of the void and extended a claw towards Yang Feng. In the center of the bone claw, a dead world filled with bones emerged. Grey death chi gushed out of the dead world, turned into chains, and shot towards Yang Feng. You dare to attack me? Thank you for courting death and becoming a stepping stone for me to advance to the God Emperor realm. Yang Feng smiled frigidly, countless runes shone, and he slammed a fist into the dead world filled with bones. A devour black hole appeared and blasted the dead world to pieces, and then radiated devour black light and devoured the dead world. After smashing the dead world with a strike, Yang Feng teleported, appeared in front of the Bones Monarch, and slammed a fist into the Bones Monarch, smashing it into pieces. A devour black hole appeared and devoured the Bones Monarch. No. How is this possible? You just advanced to the Eternal Monarch realm, how can you be so strong? A ferocious expression on his face, the Bones Monarch roared and struggled inside the devour black hole. After a dozen plus breaths of time, it was completely eroded by devour light and turned into dust that dissipated with the wind. So strong. How can that Yang Feng be so strong? When the other eternal monarchs saw Yang Feng devour the Bones monarch, they inhaled a breath of cold air, and their eyes shimmered with a dignified shade. Although the Bones monarch is not a top powerhouse among eternal monarchs, but while it is easy to defeat him, but it is very difficult for other eternal monarchs to kill him. For Yang Feng to be able to insta-kill the Bones monarch is simply incredible. Yang Feng, Azure True Extreme Monarch, isn't that the young master of your Azure Temple? When did he become so strong? Tens of thousands of light years away, the handsome Sky Spirit Holy Monarch with 13 halos behind him and short black hair suddenly spoke with a smile. A complicated look in his eyes, the Azure True Extreme Monarch said with a bitter smile, I just entered closed-door cultivation once, yet he has already surpassed me. I really didn't expect that an existence from a lower universe could reach this step. In Azure Temple, whether it is the Holy Lord or the Young Master, they are not worth mentioning in the eyes of an eternal monarch like the Azure True Extreme Monarch. Apart from practicing cultivation and enjoying himself, he doesn't pay attention to these trifles. The Azure True Extreme Monarch didn't expect that in less than 10,000 years, Yang Feng, the ant-like young master of Azure Temple in his eyes, has already advanced to the Eternal Monarch realm. Not only that, but Yang Feng is also far stronger than him. Envy flashed in the eyes of the Sky Spirit Holy Monarch, and he sighed faintly. He isn't affected by the divine light of the God Emperor Divine Garden. It seems that he has obtained the God Emperor Bone. What a profound destiny! How enviable! To enter the God Emperor Divine Garden, one must have the God Emperor Bone. Without the God Emperor Bone, it is impossible to resist the divine light released by the God Emperor Divine Garden. In order to advance to the Eternal Monarch realm, Yang Feng has consumed all his God Emperor bones. Along the way, he killed several Eternal Monarchs and obtained 2 God Emperor bones. Yang Feng, I am the Azure True Extreme Monarch. Can you give me a piece of the God Emperor bone? I can give you the Azure Temple in exchange. As long as you give me a piece of God Emperor bone, the Azure Temple will be yours. Enigmatic light flashed in the eyes of the Azure True Extreme Monarch, and he crossed countless light years and transmitted his voice to Yang Feng. Yang Feng responded flatly, I am determined to obtain the position of the Eternal Monarch. Apart from this, everything else is not worth mentioning. Once Yang Feng advances to the Eternal Monarch, he will become the master of this universe and control everything in it. The trifling Azure Temple is not worth mentioning. The Azure True Monarch smiled bitterly, a complicated look in his eyes. He calmly slashed at the periphery of the Divine Emperor light and looked in the direction of the Divine Emperor Divine Garden. With a flash of light, Yang Feng arrived at the periphery of the God Emperor Divine Garden. In the periphery of the God Emperor Divine Garden, there stand 2 Eternal Monarchs. One Eternal Monarch is covered in surging purple flames, which look like they can burn time, fate, and everything else. This is the Purple Flame Monarch. The other Eternal King was as big as a world. His entire body was enveloped in eternal divine light, and his body was the God Kingdom. Auras far beyond that of other Eternal Monarchs of the same rank emerged from the Purple Flame Monarch and the God Monarch and spread in all directions. In this era, only the 3 of us can reach this place. Hand over your God Emperor bones. Otherwise, die. I, the Purple Flame Monarch, am the master of this universe. Eyes flashing with purple flames, the Purple Flame Monarch looked at Yang Feng and the God Monarch and uttered coldly. A cold ray flashed in the God Monarch's eyes, and he uttered frigidly, what an arrogant fellow. Yang Feng, how about we join forces and kill him? Yang Feng's eyes flickered, and he uttered with a smile, okay. With a wave of the God Monarch's hand, a scepter appeared, and a gold divine country emerged from his body and radiated dazzling light. In an instant, the gold divine country expanded rapidly and enveloped the Purple Flame Monarch and Yang Feng. Gold laws gushed out of the divine country and formed chains that shot towards the Purple Flame Monarch. A swarm of eternal angels emerged and formed an angel legion that attacked the Purple Flame Monarch. With a wave of his hand, purple flames tore through the sky and swept towards the eternal angels. In the wake of the purple flames, countless eternal angels were turned into ashes. The God King barked, "Yang Feng, lend me a hand." Yang Feng smiled indifferently, stood quietly in place, and looked at the God Monarch and the purple flame monarch with a derisive expression. A look of anger on his face, the God Monarch barked, "Yang Feng, what are you doing? Why aren't you stepping in? Do you want to see me and the purple flame monarch suffer together?" Yang Feng uttered with a smile, "Your acting is really good. Unfortunately, there is no killing intent in the fight between you. None of the attacks involved origin energy. In particular, your killing intent is locked on me. I'm curious, why do the two of you have killing intent towards me? That's because you're too dangerous. Yang Feng, you have just advanced to an eternal king, yet you can already rival veteran eternal kings. Moreover, the essence you cultivate is the most dangerous essence of devour. You have already devoured several eternal kings. If you are allowed to refine their origin, I'm afraid that no one in the eternal world will be your opponent. Therefore, you must die." A cold look in his eyes, the purple flame monarch took a step, and endless purple flames soared and formed a purple flame giant covered in surging purple flames, and the purple flame monarch sent a fist barreling towards Yang Feng. Chapter 1569. Divine Country Sanction. A cold look in his eyes, the God King pointed at Yang Feng. Inside the divine country, countless gods and divine countries emerged. Countless gods, holy spirits, and petitioners prayed, and all their power was absorbed by the divine country. A gold divine light flew out of the divine country, shone on Yang Feng, and suppressed him like a mountain. Purple Flame Monarch, your guess is correct. Unfortunately, you're a step too slow. Yang Feng smiled indifferently and took a step forward. His body twisted, and the gold light collapsed and shattered in an instant. He sent a fist flying towards the giant shrouded in purple flames. A torrent of time, a spatial portal, a power star, a devour black hole, and a river of fate appeared, merged into one, and blasted into the giant shrouded in purple flames. The giant collapsed and was devoured by Yang Feng's fist in an instant. In an instant, as if teleporting, Yang Feng appeared in front of the purple flame monarch, slammed his fist into the purple flame monarch, and blasted him into pieces. A devour black hole appeared, devoured the purple flame monarch, who has turned into countless purple flames, and frantically absorbed his eternal monarch origin. His face twisted, an incredulous look on his face, the purple flame monarch roared, "How is this possible? How can you be so strong? Impossible." The purple flame monarch has lived for 100 billion years after advancing to an eternal monarch. He is one of the oldest eternal monarchs in the universe. Among eternal monarchs, he is one of the strongest. He never imagined that he would be killed by Yang Feng with a punch. "My foundation is more solid than yours, and I have devoured more than 5 eternal monarchs. I have completely refined their power. Purple Flame Monarch, how can you be my opponent? Rest in peace, I will advance to an eternal God Emperor." Yang Feng smiled coldly, then clasped the fingers of a hand, shattered the purple flame monarch's flames, and frantically devoured the purple flame monarch's eternal origin. "Next, it's your turn." Killing intent flashed in Yang Feng's eyes, and he looked at the God King. "Go. Stop him." A chill ran down the God King's spine, and he waved his hand and barked. Inside the divine country, a swarm of gods and eternal angels flew towards Yang Feng like a tide and cast various offensive divine spells barreling towards him. It's no use. Countless runes flickered, and Yang Feng turned into a devour black hole that can devour everything, swept towards the gods and eternal angels, and instantly devoured them and turned them into dust. Explode! The eyes of the God King shimmered ferociously, and he bellowed. Countless mysterious runes appeared in the divine country, shone, and exploded in an instant. The storm formed from divine force accumulated for hundreds of billions of years engulfed Yang Feng, and the space collapsed. A terrifying energy storm wreaked havoc outside the God Emperor Divine Garden. Die! In the fearsome energy storm, a huge hand reached out, grabbed the God King, and squeezed hard. In a flash, the weakened God King exploded. A devouring black hole appeared and devoured the godly monarch who had been crushed. The Purple Flame Monarch and the God King are not his opponents. Even the Purple Flame King and the God King are no match for him. How powerful! How powerful! Seeing this scene, the eyes of the eternal monarchs shimmered with apprehension. But no one dared to approach the God Emperor Divine Garden. In the center of the God Emperor Divine Garden, a golden lotus flower bloomed, and there is a pool of golden water inside the golden lotus flower. Golden light flew out of the pool and shone on Yang Feng. Divine Emperor Bones appeared inside Yang Feng, and he let the golden light shine on him. When the golden light shone on Yang Feng, it emitted amiable fluctuations, twisted, and formed a golden staircase. As soon as Yang Feng set foot on the golden stairs shrank slightly, and then Yang Feng was drawn into the golden pool. The God Emperor Divine Garden flickered with light, and then disappeared from this universe. It's over. In this era, Yang Feng obtained the opportunity to advance to an eternal God Emperor. However, although he obtained the opportunity, but he may not be able to advance to an eternal God Emperor. When the eternal monarchs saw Yang Feng enter the God Emperor Divine Garden, their eyes shimmered with jealousy, and they sighed faintly, turned into streams of light and disappeared. In the golden pool, a dim light shone, and a queer existence emitting distorted light slowly emerged, looked at Yang Feng, and uttered with a smile, "I didn't expect that the winner this time would be you. An other universe walker from another universe." Shocked, Yang Feng's body tensed up, his thoughts revolved lightning fast, and he uttered slowly, "You are His Majesty the God Emperor." The God Emperor uttered flatly, "Don't be nervous, I'm really dead. This is just a remnant phenomenon. In Earth's terms, it's just an obsession. Yang Feng, your foundation is very solid, your fleshly body is perfect, and you are even slightly better than me at the time. You are fully capable of inheriting all my power and advancing to an eternal God Emperor. However, if you want to inherit my power, you must take revenge for me in the future. You have to kill my enemy. If you promise me, I will give you all of my remaining power. If you don't agree, you can pick 3 fruits in my God Emperor Divine Garden, and then leave." The God Emperor uttered with a smile. Yang Feng pondered for a while, and then asked curiously, "What level of powerhouse is your enemy?" "He is also an eternal God Emperor. At the time, he was a bit stronger than me. I made a mistake, and he seized the opportunity to seriously injure me. As a result, I died and turned into this universe. By the way, if you don't inherit my power in this universe, you have no chance to advance to an eternal God Emperor because of the lack of resources. In this universe, 95% of the resources are concentrated in the God Emperor Divine Garden." The God Emperor uttered with a faint smile. Yang Feng weighed it over and over again, and then said decisively, "Okay, I promise you. When I'm stronger than your enemies, I'll avenge you." A smart choice. Come on. Accept my remaining power. Become the new eternal God Emperor. With a flash of light, the golden pool water poured into Yang Feng's body and nourished his fleshly body and soul. Countless mysterious runes emerged. Yang Feng seems to be devouring existences surpassing the eternal God Emperor at all times, and his body and soul are transforming crazily. Time elapsed, and 100 years passed in the blink of an eye. In the eternal world, a vast and fearsome aura suddenly awakened and spread throughout the eternal world, exuding a terrifying aura that made people shudder. This is an eternal God Emperor. An eternal God Emperor fluctuation. He succeeded. He advanced to an eternal God Emperor. When Holy Lord Azure Lord sensed the terrifying aura, he shuddered, and knelt on the ground involuntarily, unable to control his power. An eternal God Emperor. Yang Feng advanced to an eternal God Emperor. In the eternal world, all the intelligent life forms trembled and knelt on the ground when they were awakened by the terrifying aura. The eternal God Emperor was a supreme existence in a great cosmos. Even an eternal king would not be able to resist an eternal God Emperor. In the God Emperor Divine Garden, Yang Feng slowly opened his eyes, and wisps of fearsome aura slowly spread from him. So this is the power of an eternal God Emperor. In this universe, as long as I want to do something, there is nothing I can't do. With a thought from Yang Feng, all the information in the universe is easily under his control, and he can easily trace the origins of the eternal monarchs. In their universe, eternal God Emperors are omniscient and omnipotent. As long as there is a bit of true spirit, they can resurrect the dead. With a thought, they can create a small universe. There is no end to evolution. But after I advance to an eternal God Emperor, there are not many existences that can threaten my life. I can finally slow down and appreciate the other wonders of the universe. With a thought, Yang Feng's figure blurred, and he crossed hundreds of millions of light years and arrived in the harem of the Devourer dynasty. Your Majesty, you're back. Wu Meiying, Shiryu, Michaelia, Zero, Eunice, Regina, Zhou Ruoling, Zhou Ruoyu, Romulage, Gleistar, Faldina, Carolina, Ezramia, Shinji, Violet, Shadow, and other beautiful women who followed Yang Feng all came up to greet him with joy in their beautiful eyes. I'm back. I will accompany you until eternity. Yang Feng looked at the elegant and refined Shi Shui, who has already advanced to the seventh firmament eternal realm, and Zero, who is standing next to Shi Shui. With a gentle smile, he stepped forward, embraced the charming beauties, and enjoyed their enchanting charm. Time elapsed, and 100,000 years passed in the blink of an eye. In the void, inside a round level, 9 stronghold. Are you ready? Let's start a new journey. Sitting in the seat of honor, Yang Feng looked down and saw that there are beautiful women from the universe. They are all dressed in beautiful military uniforms. Shi Shui and the others, who are dressed in officer uniforms, are sitting in command rooms. We're ready. A pleasant voice came from the stronghold. Then let's go. The round level, 9 stronghold shone, fired a black ray, cut open the multiverse wall, and turned into a stream of light that pierced through the multiverse wall. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.